Welcome back to the Music Bar podcast, and thank you for joining me today. This is episode 53, and to be honest with you, I actually recorded episode 53 about 2 weeks ago, and I did so before the family and I went on a trip to Japan. And I recorded it thinking what I'll do is I'll post it while I'm over in Japan, but because I have free time at certain times during the day. For instance, the flight over, it's a 9-hour flight from Brisbane, and I thought maybe I could just sit there on the plane and edit, on my phone. Didn't happen, and then when I got to the hotel, we all shared the same room. Once our son, who just turned 6 when we arrived in Japan, goes to bed, Alexis and I, we can't talk to each other because then Diesel would wake up. So I thought then I might be able to do some editing, and obviously I couldn't do it then either. And honestly, with the whole day out and about and walking around doing 15 to 20,000 steps between, each day, I just thought, well, I might go to sleep instead. So I came back to Australia the other day, I arrived on Thursday, and I thought I might post it then, but I want to mention a few other things that have happened in the past 2 weeks, so I'm going to re-record it, and that's what this is. So, thanks for waiting for me to get back from Japan. I did hope to have content up for you, but didn't work out that way. So, what's this podcast about? And it's really interesting to me because I've been driving, my job is a truck driver. I drive to anywhere from 5 to 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And all I do is listen to podcasts and I listen to music. Now, some music on the radio, but not very often now on the radio. There's so much music coming out at the moment. And I just was listening to this music coming out. And it just really took me back to the 90's, actually. So late 80s, early 90s. And it's just an unbelievable time right now for music because let's go back to the 90s, and that was my favourite part of when the early 90s, all my favourite bands were coming out with music at the time. And I sat there in the truck, driving along, listening to some, I got the new Metallica album, and they're touring the world. And obviously, if you've been watching the podcast, that I'm actually heading over from Brisbane from Australia to LA end of August to go see Metallica play, because I don't know if they'll tour Australia, and if they do, it might be in 2025, and who knows what will happen in that time. So I thought I'll take the punt and go to LA and go watch them play. So Metallica are in the news, a world tour at the moment. They've got a great album, to be honest. I love it so much. And then I'm listening to a bit of Pantera. And I'm going to Metallica because of Pantera, actually. They are playing an opening for Metallica the night I'm going in LA. So I'll get to see Pantera again. And yes, I know, I understand all the talk about the fact that the brothers are not there. I understand it. I totally agree. But I have said on my podcast in the past, I think now from the time that they broke up to the time now is a very long time, 20 years, since. Why not get this band together? It's got 2 original members, and bring the music from Pantera back out to the world and to the new generations that probably would never ever listen to it otherwise. So I wanted to go see them play live. Yes, it's Zach. Yes, it's Charlie. That's fine. I have no problems with that because I want to hear the music and I want to see other generations learning about this band that just changed metal back then in the early 90s. They had some great albums. Their first, I wouldn't say their first one because that was a glam album, but the Pantera as we know it, Cowboys from Hell, that came out in 1990, and then Vulgar Display of Power was 92, Far Beyond Driven was 94, and then they kind of lost me after that. But those 3 albums are just amazing. To be able to see them live again and hear those songs, I can't wait. I cannot wait. And I just don't know if Pantera would be able to come over with Metallica or even tour Australia. because the costs involved just are too high. So I get to see Pantera 2.0, I guess you can say, and I cannot wait. Pantera's playing at the moment. They're playing headlining shows. They're playing with Metallica. They're doing festivals. So Metallica, Pantera. What a great time. You got Extreme just released a new album. And they've released this album after 15 years of having no album coming out. And of course, in that 15 years, they had done other things. Nuno Betancourt has played in a couple of guitar super band kind of things scenarios. Generation X was one of them. But you've got a whole album of theirs, which to me is a very good album. It's a really good album. If you can go listen to it, go listen to it. It's great. And Nuno's playing is just amazing. Gary Sharon's singing is amazing. Pat Badger is an unforgotten backing vocalist in that band, and his voice is great. So from the 90s to 2023 and having Pantera in the news and touring, Extreme are touring and with a new album and a great album in it as well. And then you got Metallica, obviously. Motley Crue's out there right now. Motley Crue and Def Leppard are touring still. So, yes, you've all heard me talk about the fact that Vince's voice is gone, and now Mick Mars is not in the band anymore, and John Five's taken over, but overall, Motley Crue is touring right now, and there's a good chance they'll probably be bringing out new music. John Five has written for them before, so why can't he write with them now? So apparently they're in the studio with Bob Rock recording. I think the last thing I read was they finished recording, now finalising everything. But Motley Crue's in the news. It's like the 90's. Def Leppard's in the news. It's amazing time right now for me, especially because I just love that era. And it's like I've gone back in time listening to my favourite bands playing all this music that I love from back then, or bringing out new music. So, it's great. What a great time. Honestly, it's a great time. Speaking of Motley Crue, Mick Mars has obviously left, as I said before, but he has he has finally, and Mick Mars, as long as I've been alive, I guess, I've been reading interviews, magazines, Mick Mars interviews, and he's always said that he's going to do a solo project, and now it's basically done. The album's called Another Side of Mars, and apparently it's going to be a great album. I've read a couple of journalists who have listened to songs already, and they are just like wrapped with it. I can't believe what they're hearing. So I'm really looking forward to that. And he won't be doing a tour as such. If he could, he would be with Motley Crue. We all know he's not well. He has got this disease that's not letting him tour anymore with Motley Crue. He can't stand for very long. He can't do a lot of things. So he's not going to be touring on the album. But he did say that he might do a one-off show here or there, or maybe 2 nights in a row somewhere. But it won't be on buses, it won't be on planes. Those kind of days for Mick Mars have definitely gone. So don't be disappointed. I'm telling you right now, that's out of Mick Mars's mouth. He's not touring. But he might do a show or two, and I'm guessing if he does, they'll be in the States. Which is fine. And I think at the moment he was still trying to get a record deal. From what I gather, he was still trying to shop the album around and find someone to buy it and help him promote it. So, fingers crossed that happens. What else has been going on? Oh yeah, Motley Crue also just did a show in London, and they went on the bill as Dogs of War, and they played a bunch of Motley Crue songs. So a lot of times bands might do this so the crowds don't just turn up and go crazy, because Motley Crue's playing a small pub that holds 450 people. So they went on as a band called Dogs of War, which some people are saying is a rumour, or as a rumour, they're saying that could be the name of their first single, but we'll have to wait and see. All good. Foo Fighters again. Foo Fighters have got a new album out. Unfortunately, not with Taylor Hawkins, but they've got a new album out, which is great. I've not heard it. I'm saying it's great that they are still recording, they're still together, bringing music to the world because, why not? Great musicians, great band. Of course, you got to keep continuing. And so what a time to be alive. Even though I'm a 90's kid, teenager, I love it right now. It's really good to know that this is happening. And it's going to get better, I think, too. People are just touring everywhere. So, that's what I wanted to say quickly. But also, in regarding Extreme, I was talking to my mate the other day about going to Los Angeles. We're going together, obviously, with myself and my mate John. And he mentioned to me that Extreme are playing at the House of Blues in Anaheim in California. So we're both going to that too now. So I'm going to arrive in Los Angeles and go to see Extreme, and they're open. Living Colour are opening for them in the House of Blues. So I can't wait for that. And then obviously Metallica, Motley Crue, Mammoth, of course. There's no Van Halen being played, but Mammoth is pretty good. I love the fact that Wolfgang can do what he does, and his albums are pretty good. I'm going to get to see Mammoth playing before Pantera. So I'm going to see Extreme now as well. But they're also playing here in Brisbane. So if I didn't go see them in Los Angeles, I would still see them here, but now I have a choice of two. I'm definitely going to see them in LA, and I might go see them here. The tickets over there are a lot cheaper. But Living Colour again, what a great band. I love listening to them back in the day, and I'll get to see them live. So how good's that? So it's a great time. Anyway, the other thing is too, just touching base, Avenged Sevenfold have a new album out, and I'm a huge fan of Avenged Sevenfold. I love their stuff back in the day, and I listened to their album in London when I lived there every day. I just love that album Afterlife, with the song Afterlife on it, and Little Piece of Heaven, all those songs. The new album is actually quite different, and I listened to a podcast the other day with M Shadows, who is the lead singer of the band, and he mentioned to the host that this album, it's called Life is But a Dream, and he basically stated that this album, he sat down with Sinister Gates, the lead guitar player, and they said, what do we want to do? What kind of music do we want to bring out? We can keep doing everything in the past we've done, but do we want to change things up a little bit for ourselves even, just to change what we do as a guitar player or a drummer or a bass player, even just singing differently. So they recorded this album, and he called it a concept album, and if you hear it, that is probably the best description of this album, because it is so different to anything they've ever done. And I have to say, at first, I was very skeptical of this album. I didn't know if I would like it or not. I listened to each song and went through the whole album, and I wasn't hearing anything that I really loved straight out, except for the opening, their first single, Nobody. I thought the opening of that was amazing on guitar. Really, really effective, simple kind of tune. But the more I listened to it, and again, this goes back to 72 Seasons from Metallica, the more I listened to it, and the more I loved it. And I have said in the podcast before that when you have a long songs are great because, if not always great, but the ones I like, they keep you interested, if you know what I mean. And they keep dropping, I think you could probably put a bit of spice here, and then about a minute later a bit more spice, to keep you interested in the song. And this album is full of spices. It's so different, but they've kept me interested from the beginning to the end, which is quite hard normally. And I have listened to this album so many times while I'm at work. I love it. I absolutely love this album. And it is so different. And they will probably lose fans over it. Like, he did state in the interview that it's like their Black Album. Metallica lost a lot of fans with the Black Album, but gained so many more. I don't know if they'll gain a lot from this because it is such a difference. I'm not comparing the music on this album to the Black Album at all. But I am saying it is so different, and that's going to freak people out. It did me to a point, but I always give it a chance. And that's what I did, and I love it. And there's a song on there called Ordinary. Go listen to Ordinary, and you'll see what I mean by different, but also how great is it, you know? And this whole album just shows you what kind of music, what kind of artists these guys are when it comes to playing music. There's so much on here that's different to everything. So yeah, credit to you guys for going out and doing this. I love it. I think everyone should at least listen to it, but not just once. Again, you need to listen to these different albums a few times because you'll get something from here each time differently on each song. And that's what makes the song, in the end, why you like it, if you love it. So, when you love it. And, so that's one good thing about coming out. I do hope they tour Australia. I don't know if they would. I don't even know if they ever have. Especially headlining. They might have done it with a bunch of other bands, but yeah, I'm not sure. But in saying that, one last thing. Recently on Instagram, this musician I follow posted up a picture of an album that she had just released. Officially, she had stated. And I went, oh, hang on, what's going on here? That album came out in 2020. But now she's calling it officially released in 2023. So I went and grabbed the album straight away. And it's this one here, Laura Wilde. And the album is called Charmed and Dangerous. I got this one when she first recorded it. You could go pay for it, get it signed by her. So I've got it signed by her here. And sent out to me, and I had it. So how can this be official if it's already been in my collection for 3 years? But I believe what she means by official is now it's on Spotify, now it's on Apple Music and maybe other places. But so I downloaded it on my phone and I listened to it while I'm driving around, and it's only a 30-minute album, 10 songs. But Laura Wilde was born and raised in Melbourne in Australia, and she released an album called Sold My Soul in 2012, which I also have, which was a really, really good album, and I really enjoyed it. But then she moved to the States, I believe just recently, became a US citizen, and now she's released this officially, this album here. Go listen to this album. This is what you would call rock, glam, but punk. I'm not a big punk fan, but there's a bit of punk in here. You can definitely tell it by the way she sings some of the lyrics, the staccato of it. But this album here, I listened to this album probably for a whole shift, like 6 or 7 hours straight. And it's only half an hour long, so I listened to it a few times, don't get me wrong. It is really, really good. And I've been watching her on YouTube, some of the stuff she did at the Whiskey when she played. There's a few live performances. She's a great singer, great front person of her own little solo act, and great singer, great guitar player. She does a lot of the guitar playing. She plays all the solos. She's written it all of herself. And because I am going to LA, I did look to see if she was playing when I'm over there. And I don't believe she is, so I can't go see her or watch her play. But if she does announce a show, I'll definitely be there if I am in LA at the time. But yeah, what a rock star. She really is. And yeah, you'll only understand what I'm saying by listening to her music and I recommend going and downloading it and listening to her album. And then, yeah, you'll understand what I'm saying. So credit to you, Laura. That's a great album, and your writing is just amazing. Everything about you is just phenomenal, and you definitely deserve to get further in life with your music. So yeah, well done. Yeah. Anyway, so in saying that, just quickly on Japan, there's a place in Japan that people like me who still love going to record bars, like record stores, and here in Australia we only have a few left. I know Sanity just closed down; they don't exist anymore. There's a few privately owned record bars that sell a lot of vinyl. Obviously, we have JB Hi-Fi, which is quite big around the country and have a pretty good selection, to be honest. But in Japan, like Tokyo, where I was staying, they got this record store there called Tower Records. If you ever go to Japan and stay in Tokyo, go visit Tower Records. It's 5 or 6 stories, I believe, just wall to wall CDs, wall to wall everything, and they have everything, and it's just amazing to see that kind of store. And of course their population is way bigger than what Brisbane is, so I understand it having that kind of store in their city, but we have nothing like that here in Australia. I don't think we have anything like that in Sydney or even Melbourne, but it is a phenomenal store if you love music. They have pretty much everything you're ever after. You'll just need to use Google Lens and translate, because they have all the spines of all the CDs or whatever it is you're looking at, showing it's in Japanese, obviously, so it will translate it for you into what band you're looking at, so you can find who you're trying to find. But yeah, for me, I love walking into stores like that. I wish we had more of them. I know a few coming back and getting bigger, and especially with vinyl, it's getting bigger. But yeah, if you have a chance, go back to go to Japan and go buy some music. Go to Tower Records. I recommend it thoroughly. It's an amazing store, and the more we buy over there and bring over here, hopefully people will understand that here and go, let's build a store like that here, because we deserve it, I think. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching again. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to start doing these shows a little bit more often now. So yeah, please support my channel. When you subscribe and like, all you do, you're not paying anything for it. All you're doing is just getting notification that I've got a new episode up. And that's all it is. So yeah, please help me out. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, rock on.